They came with flashing lights and barked at me to get on the ground. Yeah, that happened. But let me back up a sec, because that morning, before the headlines and the courtrooms, all I was hoping for was a little bit of peace and quiet on this patch of Texas dirt I promised my wife when we left the city behind. You ever notice how a single sunrise can trick you into thinking life is simple? That was me, Ethan Miles, a guy who used to be Attorney General, but who, out here, was just another fella in boots, feeding chickens before the coffee's even brewed. You'd think politics would have hardened me, but nothing knocks the wind out of you like walking out into that crisp, golden dawn and seeing your old red barn glowing in the light, sunflowers bowing under dew, and feeling for one blessed minute that maybe, just maybe, you got away from all the trouble. My wife, Hannah, was still dozing, wrapped in the same quilt her mama made, and I was out there with a bucket, the hens already fussing at the gate. That's all I wanted. Routine, healing, no headlines. Yeah, first lie I told myself. Halfway through feeding the flock, I spot headlights in the fog. A truck just idling too long, engine mumbling, like it's got nowhere to be but everywhere to hide. I give a neighborly wave. The truck slinks off without a word. Just 2 nights before, Hannah had said she heard a drone buzzing by the window. I laughed it off, maybe a kid, right? But that morning, when I see a glint up by the tree line, something hovering and darting away, I remember every cross-examination and gut feeling in all those years fighting liars. Out here, sometimes you know when eyes don't belong. Hannah joins me, coffee in hand, her robe fluttering in the wind. Don't forget the north fence, she says. There's worry in her eyes that sunlight can't quite erase. She asks, real quiet, you ever feel like someone's watching? I crack a joke about the deer being nosy, but let's be honest, the air was already getting heavy with something I couldn't name. After breakfast, a plain envelope shows up on our gate. No stamp, just my name. Inside, courtesy citation from the Oak Hollow Community Enforcement Division. They say my barn's the wrong color. I laugh. That barn stood red since before there was an Oak Hollow. Still, something in me knots up. Whoever left that paper didn't bother to knock, and that should have been enough to make me pay attention. But I tossed the letter aside. 2 days later, trouble comes calling in lipstick and Alexis. Deborah Whitman, HOA president, platinum hair, attitude sharp as broken glass, shows up with a folder and a clipboard, flanked by her sidekicks, Ken and Sharon. Mr. Miles, we need to discuss your noncompliance, she says, smiling like a cat at a canary. I tell her, you don't have jurisdiction here. She says my barn breaks the uniform color standard. I nearly laugh in her face. Plant taller hedges if it offends you. Ken can't meet my eyes. Sharon scribbles away. Hannah steps out, and I stand a little straighter. Nobody's running us off. But the letters start coming. Fines for fences, for livestock, more threats. I burn them in the fireplace after supper, watching the gold seal curl in the flames. Still, I know people drunk on a little power rarely stop at one glass. The next week, things escalate. Stickers on our mailbox, drones buzzing, Sharon camped in her car with binoculars, neighbors slowing to snap photos like we're some roadside zoo. The land starts to feel smaller. The barn's not the real issue. It's about control, about how far someone will stretch a rule just to prove they can. Then come the fake officers. It's just past dawn. 3 cars roar up, dust flying, lights flashing. Men in tactical vests stamped Community Enforcement Division jump out, yelling for me to get on the ground. I keep my voice calm. Show me a real warrant. You're on camera. They start to waver when I mention impersonating a peace officer is a felony. Then, like a miracle, the county sheriff, Luke Donovan, shows up, badge shining. Drop the cuffs, he says, and those 3 clowns freeze. Hannah's on the porch, phone out, shaking but steady. Luke arrests them for impersonation. I spot Deborah's Lexus idling at the highway, her platinum hair catching the sun, but she won't look me in the eye. The feud isn't about fences anymore. The fallout is immediate. Letters, news vans, neighbors slipping support notes into our mailbox. Deborah tries to spin it, says that contractors were for safety, but her story's full of holes. Sarah Keene, my old prosecutor friend, files restraining orders and goes public. The county audits Oak Hollow, finds missing money, fake expenses, cash to a phony security firm. Luke brings bourbon and says Chase, the man I put away for bribery, is out early and has started showing up near our ranch, leaving threats and even a video on my laptop promising revenge. One morning, there's a package on our porch. Bomb squad clears it, moves it, then a blast rocks the pasture. A warning, not just a scare. Hannah is pale, Luke is furious, and I realize the line between HOA games and outright violence has vanished. Nights are sleepless, fence cut, cattle loose, threats painted in red across the barn. Luke calls the FBI, brings in patrols, and we prepare for court. The trial is a circus, news crews, cameras, neighbors watching. Sarah lays out every fake citation, forged letter, the attempted bombing, and the HOA's corruption. I take the stand. Deborah tries to deflect. But the evidence, the video, the audit, the testimonies, they all point one way. The jury is out 3 hours, comes back guilty on all counts for Deborah and Chase. The judge dissolves Oak Hollow's HOA on the spot. When it's over, Hannah lets out a breath she's been holding for months. We step out of the courthouse to a wall of cameras, Sarah at the mic. Titles don't make you the law. Justice belongs to everyone. And for the first time in ages, I believe her. But you know how storms go. Cleanup is never instant. Weeks pass, neighbors help repaint the barn, this time adding a mural of a gavel smashing a fake badge, with "You Don't Own Me" above it. Sunflowers along the fence, laughter returning to the ranch. Luke brings bourbon, Sarah calls with news we won the civil suit, and a plain envelope in the mailbox, signed by dozens. Just says thank you for standing up. We throw a Labor Day cookout under the old oak. Kids race through sprinklers, music drifting over fields. Hannah smiling beside me on the porch swing as dusk settles in. "Promise me it's peace from now on," she whispers. I squeeze her hand. "You have my word. If you want the lesson, it's this. Never let anyone steal your peace, no matter how official they sound. Sometimes the law wears boots, sometimes it drives a tractor, but if you believe in something, you stand your ground. And you never let anybody, not an HOA, not a crook, not even an old ghost, decide how your story ends. So, what would you have done in my boots? Where's the line between neighbor and enemy? Drop your thoughts below, because after all, peace, justice, and a little pushback, they all start with folks willing to speak up.